Yo, what is good, Knicks Nation? Welcome back to Knicks Media. This is Richie, and in this video, I want to talk about the New York Knicks pending free agents and who I believe the Knicks should consider re-signing and who should walk. And as you guys know, I got a lot of content coming on this channel leading all the way up until the draft, the off-season, the free agency. There's going to be so much stuff here in Knicks Media, so if you guys are not subscribed, make sure you do so. I'm going to be so consistent for the next couple of weeks. And also, if you guys want to check me out over on Instagram and Twitter, that is at NYKnicks_media. And if you enjoy the video, please do not forget to thumbs it up. With that being said, let's jump right into the video. So the New York Knicks have a lot of pending free agents, I think 9 in total. And this is going to be very interesting. Last year, they took the approach of signing one-year deals. All of our, fan favorite veterans that helped us go to the playoffs, guys like Reggie Bullock, Alec Burks, Taj Gibson, Nerlens Noel, Derrick Rose, those are all guys that we signed to one-year contracts. Well, D Rose we traded for, but his contract was expiring, and now they're pending free agents. So let's go over each player. I'm going to break down my thoughts of each individual player, but here's a list of all the pending free agents for the New York Knicks. Derrick Rose, Alec Burks, Frank Ntilikina, Theo Pinson, Reggie Bullock, Nerlens Noel, Taj Gibson, Alfred Payne, and Jared Harper. Another pending free agent possibility could be Mitchell Robinson, but it's unlikely in my opinion. That's only if the Knicks don't pick up the $1.5 million option, and that would be a big mistake if that's the Knicks. So we're not even going to talk about Mitchell Robinson because I do not think he's going to be a free agent. So here are the list of all the players that could be leaving the Knicks or be coming back. So let's start off with each player and give you guys my thoughts of if the Knicks should consider bringing them back or not. Starting off with Derrick Rose. I would love D Rose to be a Knick for long term. Well, maybe not long term. I think a contract for D Rose could be a 2-year deal or maybe even just a 1-year deal again. I feel like Derrick Rose loves playing in New York. He got asked about it after the season if he sees himself staying with the New York Knicks. He said, who would not want to play with New York? Who would not want to play for the New York Knicks? I love Coach Thibodeau. I'm very comfortable here. He would love to be with the New York Knicks, but he did say that the Knicks might have bigger plans. I don't know what Derrick Rose is referring to, but obviously D Rose, if he did get re-signed, it would be a guy coming off the bench. I don't think we want D Rose to be our starting point guard next year, even though he was a dog for us this season. He is a big reason why we were in the playoffs, and he was the only guy that actually had consistent performances in the playoffs. And I would love D Rose. I feel like he has a lot of juice left in the tank, and he showed that in this season with the New York Knicks. Even though he's 32 years old, he does not look like he lost a step at all. His game has evolved to a different ability where he can take people off the dribble still. He still has explosiveness. He still has quickness. His shooting is absolutely insane. He can shoot the ball from downtown. He's a leader on the court and off the court. So if Derrick Rose wants to stay with the Knicks and he wants to have that role off the bench to be that backup point guard, I'm all for it. I don't think it's guaranteed the Knicks are going to bring him back, but if I'm the Knicks, I would definitely do it. I also don't know what the numbers would look like money-wise. Maybe D Rose is looking to get paid a little bit since he has not been paid in a long time since his injuries. But let me know down below. Would you guys want D Rose back on the Knicks next year? Because I'm definitely open to the idea. Now, the next player I want to talk about is Alec Burks. Alec Burks is another pending free agent, and this is a player that had a very crucial role on the Knicks this year off the bench. Very versatile, can do everything you want on the offensive side of things. Can be a playmaker, bring the ball up, run the point. He can shoot from downtown. He can take people off the dribble. He can size you up. He can finish at the rim with both hands. And he's a guy that was very versatile for Tom Thibodeau. You can tell that Tibbs loves his veterans, and Alec Burks could definitely be coming back to the Knicks. I can definitely see them re-signing him to a 1 or 2 year deal. That will be another pivotal piece off the bench because, guys, we have so much money. And the reason why we have so much money is because we have this many free agents that are pending, and we don't have them on the books. So the Knicks are going to be bringing in a lot of different veterans. Obviously, we're not going to be re-signing every single one of these. But Alec Burks, I would not be surprised if the New York Knicks bring him back. Now, the next player I want to talk about is Theo Pinson. This man needs to be signing a long-term contract with the Knicks. I don't even care if he doesn't play 1 minute for the Knicks ever again. He needs to be on this Knicks team. The culture he brought here off the bench, on the bench rather, just being that first man. Another coach, I made a whole player profile on Theo Pinson, which was awesome because I broke down how much of a pivotal role he played in this Knicks run to the playoffs. He's a guy that is another coach out there. During timeouts, he's telling the players what he sees, how the defenses are adjusting to their game plan, what they need to do. His energy is unmatched. He's a guy that just you want to be in the locker room, and every single teammate for the New York Knicks always say that Theo Pinson was the best teammate they've ever had. So if I'm the Knicks, I definitely re-sign Theo Pinson, and he can just be that cheerleader off the bench once again. I don't even care if he plays or not. I would definitely want Theo Pinson back, and I think every single Knicks fan can agree with that one. Frank Ntilikina is the next player I want to talk about. This is definitely an interesting, controversial topic. There's some Knicks fans that absolutely love Frank Ntilikina, want to re-sign him, and then there's some Knicks fans that absolutely despise Frank Ntilikina and want him off the roster right now, don't even want to worry about him ever again. I'm like in the middle. I've definitely been more of a Frank fan than a Frank hater ever since he came up. I always said that he's a guy that needs to develop over time, but now he's had time to develop. And we know that Frank Ntilikina, what he brings to the table is defense, his instinctual ability to lock people up, his long arms, lateral quickness, everything is absolutely there to be an elite defender. The problem with Frank Ntilikina has always been confidence on the offensive side of things, getting in rhythm, being able to be a playmaker. I think we can agree that he's never going to be able to be a point guard in this league. If he ever does get minutes at a consistent basis in the NBA, whether it's on the Knicks or not, it's going to be off ball, whether it's a 2 or 3. I personally would love Frank to come back on a cheap contract. I feel like there's nothing to lose. I really feel like that Tom Thibodeau can develop him, and he can be a situational role player off the bench in terms of defense. I know that in the playoffs in Game 1, he messed up. He came off the bench ice cold. Thibodeau, wanted him to lock up Trae Young to force overtime, and Trae Young beat him off the dribble and won the game in the playoffs, and that was very unfortunate. But I'm not going to hold that over Frank's head. I feel like he also has the ability to shoot the ball from downtown. We saw him shoot like 45%, even though it's a small sample size. You can see the confidence is there. He shows flashes of confidence, and then he shows flashes of incompetence. He can't really get the ball into the hoop. He doesn't really have an ability to do anything on the offensive side of things. So for me personally, I'd be totally okay with re-signing Frank to a cheap contract to be more of a developmental piece off the bench. But if they move on from Frank, I definitely can see it. I can definitely see why they want to move on. They want to get a little older, more experienced veteran instead of Frank Ntilikina. Let me know your thoughts of Frank, and let me know your thoughts of everybody, to be honest. So let's get into Reggie Bullock. Reggie Bullock was my pick for the unsung hero for the New York Knicks this season. I think you could pick anybody to be the unsung hero. There's no wrong answer. But Reggie Bullock brought that 3-and-D wing style defense and offense to the New York Knicks to be able to be that catch and shoot guy. If you're wide open in the corner, Randall always found him in the open shots. He was clutch. He would go off in the first quarter, in the fourth quarter. He'd be the guy that would be guarding the best player on the other team on the defensive side of things. So Reggie Bullock was very pivotal, and he's a player that every single championship caliber team wants on their squad, a 3-and-D wing. I think Reggie's very valuable to this team. I'd be shocked if they try to let him go, because if they do let Reggie go, who are they going to replace him with? But the one thing I do want to mention is I do not want Reggie to be the starting small forward for the New York Knicks this season. I'd rather them get an upgrade. I feel like if Reggie's starting this year, it'll be a little disappointment, because we're trying to go into the season with a way better roster. If we do re-sign Reggie, I want it to be a bench piece. I want it to be coming off the bench and providing that 3-and-D style instead of being the starters. But it's going to be interesting. We're not going to be able to re-sign every single player, obviously, but I could definitely see Reggie Bullock coming back. But I will say I do not see them re-signing both Reggie and Alec Burks. I think they're going to have to choose from one of the two if they want to bring them back. Now let's get into Nerlens Noel. Nerlens Noel had a very good season with the New York Knicks, averaged 2 blocks and a steal, one of the only players in the NBA to do that. Absolutely dominant in the paint, blocking people like left and right, clutch blocks. Anybody that tries to poster Nerlens Noel, it doesn't happen. He blocks you with ease. His only issues was on the offensive side of things. He can never really catch those alley-oops like we're used to with Mitchell Robinson, because we're so used to the lob to Mitch, and then he was injured all year, and whenever the alley-oop was thrown to Nerlens, he would fumble it. He wouldn't be able to put it in. He would get the ball in the paint and lose it and turn it over. So Nerlens on the offensive side of things was not his role, but on the defense, he was unbelievable, and he's still very young. Another thing that Nerlens struggled in is rebounding. So I don't know what the Knicks' plan is with the big man. I really hope Mitchell Robinson's part of the plan, because I feel like the only problem Mitch has been durability, obviously, and I feel like the fluky injuries he's had is not going to carry over into next year, at least I hope. But if they want to re-sign Nerlens and bring back Mitch, I can see that, but I definitely don't count out them even drafting a big man or even signing a big man that they can see will fit better for the system. I could definitely see them bringing back Nerlens Noel, but at the same time, I could definitely see them walk. Taj Gibson is the next player. He is someone that I would love to come back. I'm not sure if he would want to. We don't know if he's going to retire or not. I don't think he's going to retire. He looks like he is ready to play basketball at the age of 36, 37 years old. He was such a big part to that playoff team. He's the heart and soul of this Knicks squad. We signed him in the middle of the season to come in and be that backup center behind Mitch and Nerlens, and whenever one of those two goes down, he would sub in, and that's exactly what he did. And he ended up starting in the playoffs because of the injuries to Nerlens and Mitch. pitch. I would love Taj to come in and re-sign with the Knicks, and he would be that, situational role player where he only comes in with the injuries. I feel like Taj Gibson's role, his leadership, his mentality, his camaraderie with the guys is pivotal. I feel like the culture that the Knicks are brewing, and he knows his system like Tom Thibodeau's more than anybody else. I've always said that. And any players that are coming in that are new to the Knicks, whether it's going to be rookies or people we trade for or people we sign, Taj Gibson is a perfect guy for those new players to lean on and ask Taj and even Derrick Rose, if we resign him, all these questions. And that's what Derrick Rose and Taj Gibson brought to the Knicks this season, is the experience in the system of Tom Thibs. So I would not be surprised if they move on from Taj just because of his age and they want to get a little younger. But at the same time, if Thibodeau wants him back, don't be shocked. Now let's get into Alfred Payne. I think Alfred Payne's a goner. At least I hope. I don't think there's any chance he comes back after the playoffs. Tom Thibodeau benching him, not even giving him any minutes after Game 2. It was a big problem. Alfred Payne's parents went on Twitter and was vocal about it. I don't see Alfred Payne coming back. He was a starting point guard for the Knicks all season, and then he ended up being benched in the playoffs. If you're getting benched and no minutes in that time, it just shows that the coaching staff doesn't have belief in you, and you don't really have a future on this team. So there's nothing really else to talk about with Alfred Payne on that end. I think every Knicks fan can agree we would be okay if we move on from Alfred. And then Jared Harper is the last guy I want to talk about. We didn't really get to see a lot of Jared Harper. He was obviously a two-way player. He came in when we were winning by a lot or losing by a lot late in the fourth quarter. I don't really expect the Knicks to bring him back. I think they're going to try to bring somebody else in that be part of the G League team, or, can come in and be a two-way player. So, yeah, that's really my thoughts of all the New York Knicks pending free agents. Leave a comment down below. Who do you want the Knicks to re-sign? Who do you want the Knicks to see walk in free agency? And I'm going to make more videos about who the Knicks should target in free agency and the draft and all those things. So make sure you smash that subscribe button, like the video if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Let's go Knicks. Peace.